Have you ever noticed something strange? Some men barely put in any effort. They don't try to impress, they don't chase, they don't even talk much. And yet, women can't stop thinking about them. There's something about them that makes them magnetic, unforgettable, almost untouchable. You see them walking into a room and instantly people notice their presence, without them doing anything to demand it. It's as if they have a quiet power that draws others in effortlessly. Meanwhile, other men work tirelessly. They plan every interaction, send long messages, buy gifts, and try to be charming at all times. They put in all the effort, yet somehow it feels like it's never enough. They get ignored, overlooked, or forgotten. It's frustrating. You might even wonder if the world is playing favorites, and if there's some invisible rule they missed. Here's the truth you probably haven't been told. Attraction isn't about how handsome you are, how much money you make, or even how charming you can be. Those things alone won't make a woman obsessed with you. Real attraction, the kind that lasts, that sticks, comes from something deeper. It comes from psychology. It comes from how you carry yourself, the way you think about life, and the energy you put out. Women notice confidence, but not the loud, showy kind. They feel calm, steady confidence that doesn't need to be proven. They notice men who live life on purpose, who have goals, who are in control of themselves and their emotions. It's subtle, but it's powerful. It's in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you treat yourself and the world around you. That quiet energy is more magnetic than money, looks, or charm. This isn't about tricks, games, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally draws people in, the man who doesn't need to chase or force attention, because he already commands it just by being himself. When you cultivate this kind of energy, women can't help but notice. They think about you when you're not around. They wonder what you're doing. They feel drawn to you, almost without realizing why. Today, I'm going to share 7 Stoic secrets that can make a woman genuinely obsessed with you. These aren't manipulative tricks or lines to say. They're principles for becoming the kind of man who is steady, confident, purposeful, and magnetic. They're habits of thought, energy, and presence that make people naturally drawn to you. When you live these principles, respect, attention, and desire come to you effortlessly instead of having to chase them. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand why some men attract attention naturally while others struggle. You'll see how small changes in your mindset, your presence, and the way you live can completely shift the way women perceive you. And you'll have the tools to become the kind of man who doesn't chase because now she will chase you. Secret 1. Be calm, not needy. Here's something most men completely miss. Neediness kills attraction. It's one of the fastest ways to push someone away without even realizing it. Think about what usually happens when a woman ignores a man. Most guys panic. They send multiple texts, over-explain themselves, try to justify their feelings, or do everything they can to get attention. They act like their entire world depends on her response. And what does that do? Instead of drawing her in, it pushes her away. Neediness screams desperation, and nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. A Stoic man takes a completely different approach. He stays calm, collected, and unshakable, no matter what she does. He doesn't beg, he doesn't panic, and he doesn't try to manipulate her feelings. He keeps his focus on himself, on his goals, his growth, and his energy. He knows that his worth doesn't come from her approval, and he acts like it. Why does this work so well? Because when a woman notices that you don't need her validation to feel confident, something inside her changes. Suddenly, she starts to wonder, why isn't he chasing me? Why doesn't he care that I ignored him? That spark of curiosity is the beginning of obsession. She starts noticing the little things about you, the way you carry yourself, the way you stay calm under pressure, the way your energy doesn't fluctuate with her moods. Here's the most important point. Women are naturally drawn to men who have control over themselves, not men who are controlled by their emotions. Calmness signals strength. Calmness signals security. Calmness shows that you are rare, that you are someone she can admire and respect. And that respect slowly grows into fascination and eventually obsession. Remember this. Obsession isn't built by chasing. It isn't built by constant attention, gifts, or desperate efforts. It's built by staying calm, confident, and steady, while letting her chase you naturally. When you master this, you become someone unforgettable, someone whose presence she can't stop thinking about, even when you're not around. Secret 2. Create mystery through silence. One of the most powerful tools a man can have is mystery, and yet most men ruin it without even realizing it. Here's the mistake most guys make. They talk too much. They feel the need to share every detail about themselves, their thoughts, their feelings, and their plans all right at the beginning. They try too hard to impress, thinking that the more they reveal, the more she will like them. But here's the truth. When you give everything away too soon, you become predictable, and predictability kills attraction. Once she knows everything about you, there's nothing left for her imagination to explore, nothing to spark curiosity, and the magic fades quickly. A Stoic man approaches this differently. He speaks with purpose. He shares enough to be interesting, but never everything at once. He leaves space for her to wonder about him, for her imagination to fill in the gaps. He understands that the mind loves to explore what it doesn't fully know, and that curiosity can quietly turn into fascination. Think about it like this. When you read a great book or watch a thrilling movie, you remember it long after it's over. Why? Because the story isn't completely predictable. There are twists, surprises, and unanswered questions that keep your mind engaged. The same principle applies to attraction. When you are not fully predictable, her mind starts replaying every interaction with you. She wonders what you are thinking, what you'll do next, and how you really feel. Every small detail about you becomes fascinating: the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the quiet confidence in your presence. This is the spark of obsession, curiosity. She starts thinking about you at odd moments, imagining possibilities, analyzing your behavior, and noticing things she never did before. Every interaction becomes more meaningful simply because it's not completely predictable. Remember, mystery isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about being authentic while leaving room for intrigue. You don't have to be loud, flashy, or overly dramatic. You just need to be steady, confident, and slightly unpredictable. Let her mind do the work. Let her wonder. And as that curiosity builds, it slowly turns into fascination and eventually obsession. When you master this, you stop having to chase attention. You become the man she can't stop thinking about, simply because she never fully knows what you'll do next, and that's magnetic. Secret 3. Show true presence. Here's something most men completely miss. Presence is magnetic, yet so few men truly understand it. Most guys are only half present when they're with a woman. Their eyes keep darting to their phone. Their minds are elsewhere, thinking about what to say next or worrying about whether she likes them. They fidget, rush their words, or overthink every move. That nervous energy, it kills attraction instantly. No matter how good-looking or charming a man is, if he isn't fully present, he becomes forgettable. A Stoic man is completely different. He is fully in the moment, and that is what makes him unforgettable. When he speaks to a woman, she feels it. She notices that all of his attention is on her, nothing else. He doesn't glance around the room, doesn't check his phone, and doesn't worry about impressing her. He listens deeply, speaks deliberately, and carries a calm, steady energy. Why does this work? Because presence is rare. In a world full of distractions, half-hearted attention, and constant noise, someone who is fully present is like a breath of fresh air. It tells her, without a single word, that she matters. But here's the important part. It's not desperate. It's confident, controlled, and grounded. Presence signals that you are focused, strong, and secure, and that you can handle yourself and your life without needing constant validation. Even simple things can make a huge difference. A steady gaze that holds for just the right moment creates connection. A calm, deliberate voice communicates confidence without trying too hard. Relaxed body language shows that you are at ease and in control. When these come together, your presence alone becomes unforgettable. She doesn't just remember the words you said. She remembers how it felt to be around you, and emotions stick far longer than words ever can. The key is this: stop being half there. Stop giving her part of your energy while your mind is somewhere else. Presence isn't about showing off or performing. It's about being grounded, calm, and focused in the moment. When you master this, you naturally become the kind of man she can't stop thinking about, even when you're not around. Your energy lingers. She thinks about the way you made her feel. She wonders what you're doing. She's drawn to that calm, confident presence because it is rare, powerful, and magnetic. Secret 4. Detach without being cold. Here's one of the biggest mistakes most men make in relationships. They think love means clinging, constant attention, or trying to control someone else's feelings. They text too much. They check in constantly. They try to prove their worth with words, gifts, or over-the-top gestures. And what happens? They look desperate. They give away their power without realizing it, and attraction dies almost instantly. The more they chase, the less they are valued. A Stoic man understands something most men don't. Nothing external is fully his: not love, not status, not money, not even respect. He doesn't base his confidence, his happiness, or his sense of self on someone else's behavior. He knows that life is unpredictable, and the only thing he can truly control is himself, his thoughts, his actions, his energy. So, when she pulls back, acts distant, or tests him, he doesn't panic, he doesn't overreact, he doesn't chase, and he certainly doesn't beg. Instead, he stays calm. He keeps his energy steady. He focuses on his own life, his growth, and his purpose. This is detachment, but it's not coldness. He still cares. He still shows value, but he doesn't cling or smother. He gives her space, and in that space, something powerful happens. She starts to feel the subtle fear of losing you. She realizes that your attention is not guaranteed, and that makes your presence more valuable. She begins to invest more emotionally because she senses your calm confidence, your independence, and your ability to stay grounded no matter what. She starts to respect your boundaries and admire your self-control, noticing that you are a man who doesn't need constant validation or approval. Here's the key: detachment isn't about ignoring her or pretending not to care. It's about being emotionally self-sufficient while letting attraction grow naturally. It's about being the kind of man who is strong, grounded, and steady, without forcing anyone to notice him. Think of it like this: a flower doesn't chase the sun, it just grows toward it. And the sun shines brighter when it isn't being forced. Likewise, your calm, detached energy draws her in effortlessly. You don't have to chase, manipulate, or control. She's naturally pulled toward your confidence, stability, and self-mastery. This secret is subtle, but it is one of the most magnetic qualities a man can have. When done correctly, It plants the seed of obsession in a woman's mind. She begins to notice you in ways she didn't before, and she starts thinking about you when you're not around. It's quiet, but it's incredibly powerful. Secret 5. Master yourself first. Here's the truth most men completely overlook. Women aren't obsessed with men because they chase them. They're obsessed with men who have themselves under control. Discipline is magnetic. A man who wakes up early, works consistently on his goals, trains his body, sharpens his mind, and doesn't waste his nights on meaningless distractions. He radiates power, confidence, and purpose. That energy is noticeable without him saying a word. He becomes the kind of man who naturally commands respect, simply because he has his life together. Think about it for a moment. When someone truly has their life in order, everything about them sends a message. The way they walk, the way they speak, the calm, grounded energy they carry it all, signals self-control, focus, and strength. And strength like that is irresistible. It creates fascination. It pulls people in. It sparks admiration and, yes, even obsession. Most men spend their energy in the wrong ways. They try to impress, prove themselves, or seek validation from others, especially women. They focus on being liked instead of being real, strong, and in control. But a Stoic man does the opposite. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't rely on validation. He masters himself first. He builds his mind, body, and habits. He shapes his life intentionally, and in doing so, he becomes a magnet for attention and admiration, almost effortlessly. Here's the key. Obsession doesn't come from clever words, flashy gifts, or constant attention. It comes from becoming a man who is fully in command of his own life. When you master yourself, you naturally raise your value in the eyes of others. She will notice. She will respect you. She will think about you without even realizing it. You don't have to chase, convince, or beg. Your life does the work for you. In short, control yourself first, and others will want to follow. Self-mastery is the silent, unspoken signal that makes you unforgettable. It's the kind of energy that lingers long after you've left the room. Women are drawn to it almost instinctively because it signals strength, purpose, and independence, all traits that are impossible to ignore. Secret 6. Live with purpose. Here's something most men completely miss. Women aren't attracted to a man who makes them the center of his universe. Many men make the mistake of putting a woman at the heart of their life. They constantly seek her approval, adjust their plans to fit her schedule, and revolve all of their energy around her moods, attention, or reactions. That kind of energy comes across as weak, desperate, and entirely unattractive. It signals that a man is incomplete without her, and women instinctively sense it. A Stoic man, however, is completely different. He has a mission, goals, and a life he's building for himself. He doesn't revolve around her, she revolves around him. His time, energy, and focus are dedicated to his growth, his purpose, and the life he is intentionally creating. Everything he does has meaning, and that energy radiates outward naturally, without needing validation from anyone. Why does this matter so much? Because purpose creates respect. Women naturally respect men who have direction, ambition, and self-sufficiency. Respect is the foundation of obsession. When she sees a man with purpose, she doesn't just admire him, she feels drawn to him in a deeper, more magnetic way. Think about it. A man with purpose has boundaries, confidence, and an energy that says, "I am complete on my own." She can't take his attention for granted, because she knows it's earned, not freely given. She notices that his time is valuable, and when she's allowed into his world, she feels special, privileged, and lucky. That subtle recognition of his worth makes him unforgettable. Living with purpose also makes you unpredictable in the best way. Your focus is on creating, growing, and becoming better, not on constantly seeking approval or validation from her. That makes every interaction with you exciting and memorable. She can't fully anticipate what you'll do next, and that keeps her curiosity alive. Remember, attraction isn't about being available 24/7. It's about being a man with a mission, a vision, and an energy that naturally draws people toward him. When she sees a man living with purpose, her mind starts replaying him repeatedly. She thinks about him long after he's gone. That's the kind of fascination and obsession that lasts, long after the initial attraction fades. In short, when you live with purpose, you automatically raise your value, and she can't help but notice it. You become magnetic, respected, and unforgettable, simply because your energy is focused, grounded, and alive. Secret 7. Be unpredictable in small ways. Here's a secret that most men completely overlook. Predictability kills attraction. Women are emotional beings, and emotions thrive on surprise, novelty, and excitement. When a man becomes too predictable, familiar, or routine, her interest fades. No matter how attractive or accomplished you are, predictability can make you forgettable. Now, being unpredictable doesn't mean being reckless, chaotic, or playing games. A Stoic man is grounded, confident, and consistent in his values. He knows who he is and what he stands for, but at the same time, he keeps his actions fresh, dynamic, and interesting. That combination, stability with a spark of surprise, is magnetic. Think about it. Maybe today you take her out for coffee. Tomorrow you suggest an early morning sunrise walk. Next week you disappear for a day or two to focus on your work, recharge, and return with new energy. You don't follow the same boring routine. You are steady, confident, and reliable, but she never fully knows what you'll do next. That small element of unpredictability keeps her mind active and engaged. This type of unpredictability does something powerful. It makes her think about you when you're not around. She starts wondering what you're doing, what you might say next, and how you'll show up. Every interaction becomes more memorable. That curiosity slowly turns into fascination, and over time, it can turn into genuine obsession. Here's the key. She knows you're grounded and reliable, but she also senses that you are not like every other man who lives on repeat. That balance, stability, mixed with unpredictability, is irresistible. It creates tension, excitement, and a subtle sense of challenge, all without you ever having to try too hard. Small, deliberate acts of unpredictability, when combined with your calm confidence, purpose, and self-mastery, send a powerful signal. You are alive, engaged, and fully in control of your life. And when a woman senses that energy, she can't help but be drawn to you. In short, unpredictability, done right, isn't chaos. It's magnetic intrigue wrapped in stability. It's the final spark that makes her obsessed, not through manipulation or games, but through the way you live your life with energy, purpose, and calm confidence. When you master this, she isn't just attracted to you, she's fascinated by you, and that fascination can become obsession. Now, let's imagine two very different men. The first man gives everything away too soon. He texts constantly, over-explains himself, and tries to prove his worth at every turn. He clings, he chases, he sacrifices his calm, his confidence, and his energy just to get her attention. And what happens? She loses interest. She feels smothered. Attraction fades. She doesn't feel drawn in, she feels overwhelmed. And before long, she moves on, leaving him frustrated, confused, and wondering what he did wrong. The second man lives by these 7 Stoic secrets. He is calm, confident, and mysterious. He creates curiosity, not pressure. He focuses on his purpose, masters himself, and lives a life that is exciting, grounded, and magnetic. He doesn't chase, he doesn't beg, He doesn't force attention. And the result? She can't stop thinking about him. She wants his attention not because he demanded it, but because he earned it naturally. Every interaction, every glance, every quiet moment becomes memorable. She's drawn to him not just for how he looks or what he says, but for the energy, presence, and strength he carries. This is the power of Stoic psychology. It doesn't manipulate, it doesn't coerce, it doesn't rely on tricks or games. Instead, it transforms you into the kind of man who naturally attracts respect, fascination, and desire, a man who is unforgettable without even trying. If this message spoke to you, don't just watch and forget it. Take action. Share in the comments which of these 7 secrets you're going to start practicing today. Be honest with yourself. Pick the one that resonates the most and commit to it. This is where change begins. And don't forget to subscribe. I post videos that show you exactly how to live like this every day, step by step. If you want to become the kind of man who commands respect, draws attention naturally, and becomes unforgettable, this is your starting point. Here's your choice. You can keep chasing, stressing, and hoping she notices you, or you can become the man who doesn't chase, the man who is calm, grounded, and magnetic. Because when you do, the rules flip. Suddenly, she will chase you. Remember this, attraction isn't about trying harder, doing more, or proving yourself. It's about becoming better, better in your mind, in your presence, in your life. And that journey starts today, right now, with the first step. Take it. Be the man she can't stop thinking about.